Yeah, Leslie, I just left Tim's stream and kind of got nothing to do for an hour or two, so I thought I'd stream, and if anybody came in to chat for an hour. Hi, Joseph. Hi, Colin. Hello, Paul. Hey, everybody. So, yeah, I just been working in the basement, just watched Tim stream and thought, what the heck, I'd go live. Joyce gave it her Mother's Day approval. She's in the home gym working out. We'll see if everything runs smoothly. I'm probably running some trains a little too fast at the moment. Actually, not too fast. Hello, Nissy. Hi, everybody. Who else has come in? Colin is here. Hi, Colin. I just started streaming and haven't even set all my stuff up for running yet. So where are you? Where are you? There you are. Open says me. Open a new tab. Bada boom, bada bing, bada bow. Hi, Toby from Roof Railways. How are you? Did I miss anybody? I think Ed Sutherland. Hi, Ed. I missed you. Sorry about that, Ed. Get well with your cold. Hopefully it's just a cold. Just got about an hour, hour and a half to kill before family comes over for Joyce. Oh, I understand that, Leslie. I totally understand that. Come on. Come on. Bingo. Bingo. Bongo. Let's get you running. And let's get this guy running. Come on and on. Other way, other way. I forgot to change direction. I forget he always comes on. Nope, still. There we go. And there, I got everybody running on my trains. Well, hello, Melvin Fackler. Thank you for stopping in. How is everybody doing out there? Like I said, I just left Tim's feed. It was nice to see him again after, seems like 2 weeks since he's been on. And realized I kind of sitting in my basement bored. It is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to any mothers in here or to those of you with significant others who are mothers. Happy Mother's Day to them. It's Mother's Day here in the U.S. I think it's Mother's Day in other countries as well. But this is the official Mother's Day in the United States. My son took his mother and his older sister, who is celebrating her first Mother's Day today. So if my daughter suddenly pops in listening, happy Mother's Day. I already told her this, but happy Mother's Day. Very first Mother's Day to my oldest daughter. My grandson, Cayenne, is almost 5 months old now. I've been messing with stuff. I bought a bunch of these little these were real cheap, tripods for the webcam. So I took down some of the wooden blocks. So you may notice that the 5-lane camera up in that corner might be a little lower. I've got to adjust it. It's a little tilted. So let me see if I can adjust it. I'm going to put it on full view just for a second because that gives me a better view. We are wet and damp here. We have had rain all day. We had a beautiful, somewhat chilly day yesterday, but a beautiful day yesterday. Mowed the lawn, got some other yard work done, and then today it's just been dismal rain. Just a very wet, cold day. But let me see. Let's go 11 lane view, because this is kind of wonky. That looks much better. And I'm thinking of, that camera's actually, this camera right here, is actually on a tall tripod, which takes it all the way up to the ceiling, and I'm thinking of bringing it down. A lot of people said they like this big, long view. Other people say they like the close-ups, so I try to have a mix. Cameras with close-ups, camera with wide-range views. Andrew T., how are you, sir? David Cook, hello. Yeah, Joseph, I never critique where people live, but I could never live in the South. I need the 4 seasons. I need spring, summer, winter, and fall. And I would miss winter most of all. I also don't like heat. My least favorite month of the year is the end of July to it's 6 weeks. The end of July to the first week of September, when we are consistently in the mid 80s to mid 90s here in Toledo, and don't get a lot of rain. It's great for swimming, not fun to mow the lawn in. We do get the humidity. I know, not the humidity Florida gets, but not enough. Hey, Carl. Yeah, Paul, somewhat, yes. For those of you who don't know, I was just talking about in Tim's. Joyce is telling me not to say anything yet, but I already have. And maybe that's why I'm feeling the need to talk to people, just because this has been an up and down week in a lot of ways. Work was busy, but for me it was good. Joyce had a really rough week at work. I was so excited I got my IC3 back. That was a positive. And had a lot of fun with the Matt Clark episode. We set up a contest. But we had to have a plumber come in yesterday morning. And we've had to do this, it's been years, twice a year, usually around Easter, and then again around Thanksgiving. And we just associate it. It becomes a holiday tradition. The plumber has to come in because my snakes can't reach it. But we get a plug like somewhere 40, 50, 60 feet under, deep in our kitchen line. It doesn't back up the rest of the house unless we ignore it way too long. But we get a really nasty backup for our kitchen sink. And so twice a year, plumbers come in, and each plumber has a different idea. Try this chemical, try this, try that. It's like all the plumbers tell us don't use the disposals. They just tell us disposals actually don't accomplish anything. Throw the stuff away. Don't dump it down the drain. And we have really scaled back. We don't use our disposer at all anymore. And almost never. And but it still backs up. And twice a year we have to get. Well, this guy came in and he ran. He says, well, about 40 feet down from the access I was using, I went in and I pulled out mud. Not grease, not sludge. Mud. And he says, that tells me you've got a hole in the line. And every time you run water or it rains, it's going to put soil in there. And he says that he thinks that this particular drain, this pipe that then goes out, hooks up with the other out pipes to the city sewer lines, he says it runs, well, let's go to it. No, not that one. It runs right under here. It runs right under this table. I would have to take this entire table down, and I have to take up the floor so they can drill and repair the line. And they said it runs between $2,500 and $4,500 depending on what they have to do, and that's if they find one problem. If they find more than one, the price goes way up. But it's a pretty good chance this is all coming out. So what would I do differently? I don't know yet. I'm going to think about it. I already have been thinking a lot about it, but if I have to rip this all out, I've toyed with the idea of going down to 3 lines and just moving this old table against the wall, taking out that parking area, which none of you can see. I don't know this. Yeah, you can kind of see the parking area way in the distance. If you look way in the back, you can see there's an off track. Whoops, that's not the one. Well, I'll use that one. Let me see. Where is it? Yeah. If you look in the back here, you can see that right over there, there's an offshoot, and it goes to a parking area, and you can just in the distance see those trains that are parked on the side, way over there, that are not moving way in the background. Well, hello, Michael McCarville. Well, this is under the concrete slab in my basement, so it's pretty much... Hey, Richard. Yeah, we're doing all right. So, yeah, it's probable... I'm just conceding it's going to happen. So I will have to tear out this this side. This side is going to be torn down. Now, to keep running trains, I could try to do sort of a short loop or just loop this up over here. But I did embed some of this track, so I'll have to pry it out. And I'm going to have to... I don't know what I'm going to do with that side yet if I have to tear it out. Joyce is saying don't assume the worst yet. I'm preparing for the worst. I just assume... Because I always thought that our kitchen line went through the rooms behind me. I always thought it went through the rooms behind me. He says he thinks this kitchen drain line, exhaust line runs right, basically right under the middle of this table and then out to a city access. Brian Finnerton, how are you? So... it is what it is. I'll do what I have to do. When I rebuild, which will be a monumental project, but I won't know until the end of May. They're going to come back in 2 weeks and run a camera and sonar, basically an ultrasound, and they're going to go through and check everything, and then they'll decide where it is and what they have to do. Yeah, we're here until we die. A couple of times I tried to talk Joyce into moving, but Joyce grew up in a neighborhood across, a few streets over. And she used to ride her bike in this neighborhood, and she loves this neighborhood. She used to tell herself as a teenager she wanted to live in this neighborhood. She lived on the other side, and this was a nice neighborhood to her. She didn't tell me that when we started looking for a house, because I looked at houses all over the city of Toledo, and she kept finding something wrong with them. And this was actually the smallest house we looked at, the most expensive and the smallest. And this is the one she fell in love with and said this is the house she wanted. Oh, yeah, until they confirm the route of the drains, I'm not taking anything out. And so it'll be 2 or 3 weeks. But it just would make sense to me based on some problems we've had. It would make sense that it runs that way. But yeah, I'm not going to take anything down until they say, all right, we'll be here on Monday. And then, now I did build this kind of sectional. Like this table, it'll take me an hour to get all the track off and another 2 hours to take the table down. It is sectional. It's not, the track isn't connected to make it easy to take sectional, but Miracle C track is easy to take, well, it's not easy to take apart, but it goes together, stays tight, and it's easy to take apart. So I don't have any soldering or wiring over there. It's not going to be a major disaster. It just means I won't have my layout for a few weeks. And then when it's time to build it back together, it's going to decide. But yeah, those of you who have seen the demo, and I'm always happy to re-demonstrate. Demo's the wrong word today. Demonstrate. There it is. Let's go to this camera. This is a couple of pieces of my Miracle track. And again, some people don't like it because it's not realistic, but I will put this up at the camera. You can see the type of connections. All the wiring you do goes under the track. You don't have to drill holes and drop wires. If you want to connect even signal lights, they're designed that they clip onto the side of the track, and you plug the wire, the digital lights and everything in here, you know, for your stop and go signals, I guess is a better word than lights, but I'm not a train guy. I'm a model train enthusiast who happens to love German trades. But anyhow, so Miracle track, no soldering needed. You click it together, and I don't know if you guys caught how much force it took me to pull that apart, and you're not supposed to pull it apart like that, but that is a lot of force before it finally comes apart. I consider myself, even at my age, to be a pretty strong guy. The way you're supposed to take it apart is click, and it's apart. Together, it will never come apart. All the usage, it will never come apart. But to take it apart, just snap it the right way. So it'll be easy to take it down, and if I weren't going to change anything, fairly easy to put it back up. It's just going to be, I'll be without my trains, and thus technically without a reason to do my live streams, but I'd probably do a live stream anyhow. And it really sucks because I'm expecting my ICE4 in the next couple of weeks. I'm actually expecting it to be, for those of you who don't follow my journey with my ICE4, my ICE3 is back. Those of you who didn't come here Friday or catch my little video, my ICE3 is running behind me there. I'm giddy as a schoolgirl. My ICE3 is back. Going through the station right now. Hey, Sparky, how are you? Yeah, I think, what's the easiest way to say that? No, see, Joseph, I'm the opposite. Everything happens by accident. The universe is one big accident. I seriously wouldn't change much. I know I could bring new ideas, and I do have a new idea, which is I would push this table all the way to the wall now. It would go all of the way to the wall, and I would gain, about 6 inches of length this way, but I would push it all the way to that wall, and where I have a small parking area, I would put that parking area inside and give myself, the city of Bremen has, because that other train station is supposed to be based on Bremen, it has 14 lanes, 14 lines, 14 platforms. So I could easily make it a very realistic Bremen Hauptbahnhof over there, and it would solve some of my parking issues. It's just going to be the inconvenience of having to tear it down, rip up this floor that I put in 3 years ago, because I have to rip out the floor. But yeah, I'll worry about it. No, this is the main exhaust, David. This is the main exhaust that goes out to the city sewer lines. So, yeah, there's no getting around it. Plus, it's an interior wall in the house. To try to run it separately or do something else they would be running pipes, and I'd have to drop my ceiling, and they'd still have to go into the wall and reconnect there. No matter how they try to run it, it'd rip out. I'm hoping this plumber is wrong, and he actually finds that the drains run where my wife and I think they run, which would be in the laundry room. And does this sound selfish? I'd rather Joyce in the laundry room be inconvenienced than me. I hope that doesn't sound selfish, but it's what I'm hoping. And yes, happy Mother's Day. Split Rock is here. Brian Finnerton, I think I said hi. Oh, no. By the way, those of you with the IC3, it wasn't the chip. It was a wire. When my train derailed and shorted, apparently it was enough of a jolt that it popped a wire underneath the... so when I opened it up to see what the problem was, there was a wire that had disconnected and I didn't see it. So he just resoldered the wire and sent it back. Ed, that would be a dangerous idea for me, because the minute you put an idea out there, and it's great to get ideas, don't get me wrong, it's great to get ideas, and trust me, I watched hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos to get ideas for my layout, but there's also what I wanted to do, and then there's the other considerations, space I need for other things, the fact that I want lots of trains running. I like having 6 trains running. Is it prototypical? No, but I'm more about seeing as many trains running as I can. My ADD needs to see all these trains running. And the area I'm modeling is very flat. Northern Germany is very flat. No hills, no mountains. So it kind of fit in. And the minute you put it out there, you're going to get people going, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that, you should do this, you should do this. Well, you got to build this here and put this ramp in here. And it's just too much comes at me. So no, the ICE, he fixed it. It's running as beautiful as ever. He gave it a cleaning job as well. So yeah, I'm very thrilled to have it back. He's still got my other 2 ICEs, the ICE1, the ICE2, but those were sent to him to be upgraded. There was technically nothing wrong with them. I just wanted them upgraded. Now, actually, the old one, the ICE1, I wanted him to fix some things on it. So I suspect he's working on those, and I'll get those back within the next couple of weeks. Hey, Joel, how are you? I really didn't expect this many people to show up on a Sunday night when everybody works in the morning. For me, it's Sunday afternoon. Now, one thing I want to go ahead and mention while I'm at it. If you didn't see the video, and I assume most of you did, Joyce and I are running a contest. We want to encourage you guys to participate. We did get 1 entry, so there's going to be a winner. And we're probably going to jack up the prize to like $35 or 25 pounds or euros. I'm going to jack it up a bit, see if that encourages more people. But we're running a contest. There are 15 questions. You can watch the video. The questions are in the comments. And just email the answers. We did get 1 submission. But again, this is no stunt to get more viewers or whatever else. This really is a thank you. I kept doing this show because I could have written it out and never performed it. I would have done that. If I'd done the first episode and nobody liked it, I would have gone into my desk, to my office and said, well, nobody else liked it, but I think it's funny. And I would have written it all out anyhow. And I might have made it for me. And nobody else would have seen it, or my family would have seen it. But you guys liked it, or at least many of you said you liked it. So I kept doing it as much for you guys as for me. I was doing it for me and sharing it with you. So as a way of saying thank you guys for keeping me going and showing enthusiasm for the storyline, if you really did like it. And for those of you who actually watched it, a thank you. You know, I'm giving you guys stuff. So, yeah, go check the video out that Joyce and I put up late last night. And do it. We already got 1 submission. Hey, Peter. Yeah, it's an unusual time for me. So, you know, Ed, I hope nobody ever takes offense to that, because if I do sound like a stubborn asshole that way. I researched and researched and researched and talked to people, and at the time I was in a club and talked to them. I was on all these forums. That's how I met 70-80% of you that are now friends of the channel. Is you guys came up in searches on YouTube for videos about building or trains. Some of you I came across because I talked to you in it. But a lot of the people here, like Richard at New Junction, who was here, he's one of the first channels I joined because I was looking for building a layout. He had been building New Junction for about 9 months to a year, his first or second attic build. Everard Junction was building his original Everard Junction before he ripped it out and built the new one. And these were all people I went to, and even though I speak fluent German, I wanted it in English, and I wound up getting a lot of British channels. But just because it didn't matter what scale, I wanted to hear what their problems were, what their issues were, what ideas they had, and then I would create some sort of alchemist mental vision to mix that into what I want to do. And originally, anybody who went back and watched my old videos, I was going to do 2 layers and have a helix on one side. But when I took out a couple of closets down here to make the table, we needed storage space. We still need storage space. I want to take that, well, let me see which camera is best to show it. Which one? Is it this one? No, not that one. So this one. There is a closet right there. I would love to take that closet out. Hi, Luma. I would love to take that closet out, but it is packed. I had another closet just like that on this side. No closet there now. So I would love to take that closet out. And then if my daughter ever moves out, I have a room. There's the stairways that go upstairs, and there's a room on the other side. I could run a train or trains through that closet and build a big fiddle yard or parking area in that 10 by 10 room back there. How awesome would that be? But for now, I have to consider the family storage needs. So there's all kinds of buckets under my table. So, yeah, so, that's one of the long dreams. Let's put it that way. That's one of the long distance dreams. I would love to take that closet out, and but there's so much stuff in there. I want to know where to put it. Now, again, if my daughter moved out, I could take that closet out and put all kinds of storage racks in that room back there. Because right now that room is the other hobby room. That's where she does that's her sewing room and her hobby room. And I store all my wargaming stuff and battle boards and everything back there. On the rare chance we get it out. I also have my house tool bench and everything in that room back there. But if she ever moves out, then I can put in all kinds of low cabinets, build a big parking area on it, and then just have my trains come through that closet like a tunnel and come out to the main area, and I could totally redesign this table. So there are definitely long-range plans as well. But for now, I really am content with the setup because I accept the limitations I have. And I have to be grateful because most of you, does this sound arrogant or rude? Most of you don't have the space I have. I know there's a lot of guys that look at the space I have and go, oh my God, if I had that space, I would have this amazing layout, and all you do is have a big circle with trains on it. Yeah, I know. But it fits the practicality of our situation because, as I do say, and people don't believe it, this is by American standards, this is a small house. This was a starter home. This was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and we raised 3 kids, a mom and a dad, and my wife is the shortest at 5'8", and I'm 6'4", and my son's 6'2", and my 2 daughters are 5'11". We're not a small family. So, it's a cute little home in a cute little neighborhood. Now, by UK standards or German standards, it's an average or maybe a bigger home. But by American standards, this is a small house. But it works, and when Joyce said, take the basement and build a layout, who am I to argue, right? I'd be stupid to argue. But we do have storage issues that are solved by, like you guys that have your layouts in your garage or whatever, or up in your attic, you got all those bins filled with all your stuff underneath. That's what's all under all these tables here. All the extra kitchen stuff and the holiday stuff and other old things we can't get rid of. So, yeah, and again, I'm lucky because I live in a part of the country where we have basements. If you live out west, no basements. Parts of down south, no basements. But in this part of the country, basements are the norm. And I was lucky this basement was finished when I bought the house 30 years ago. But I was able to remodel it a couple of years ago. No, my remodeling job had nothing to do with the plumbing problems we have. But I was able to brighten this up. This was a dark room. You could go back and watch one of my earliest train sessions before I remodeled it. One of my earliest running sessions. And this room was a dark, dingy room. And I've brightened it up considerably. Yes, Paul, but sometimes she tells me I can do it and it takes forever to do it. And sometimes I'm just tired out afterwards. Yeah. Especially if it's something for you, not for her, The train was saying, oh, honey, just take the basement and build yourself a layout. Okay. Are you sure? Yeah, sure, honey, go for it. Joyce has now pointed out that my making fun of her talking to me voice, or the naggy wife voice, sounds too much like Smokey. Yes, Andrew T, that was, technically it is built on top of the storage. The original plan was I was going to buy all kinds of cabinetry, go to this used place that collects cabinetry they rip out of houses and build it as storage. We just could not, at the time I was building this, we could not find enough, or when we finally got what we thought would be enough, it wasn't cost effective when I could buy a bunch of 2x4s for 1/10 of the price. But we have a Habitats for Humanity shop, and I was just collecting cabinets. You get them all at the standard 30-inch and put them in, and they would have been awesome storage. But that's just it. We do have the storage, and this is built on top of the storage. But we need more storage than I could put this on top of. Now, granted, I could have raised it, but this was the height I liked. Oh, any train modeler wants more. We always want more. I just added up. I watched a video from early last year, and I was talking about my 12 trains. I have 12 trains. It was an early video from 2020 before COVID. And I was like, I have 12 trains, and I'm starting to have parking issues. Where do I put all my trains? Now I got like 24 locomotives or trains. No, Split Rock, I'm the opposite. I go for quantity. I went for, there are things I do, I try to be quality on, such as when I'm painting the house, when I'm doing a new basement, you know, the walls, the electricity, I go for quality. When I bought my control system, but when it comes to how I'm building my layout with buildings, I bought a lot for as cheap as I could get it. Hey, Tim JD, I'm sorry I didn't see you come in. How are you? You know, like I always say, Joyce and I talk about it all the time. We live better than 80, 85, 90% of the people in the world. We're fed, we have a good home. We've been able to travel the last few years in our lives. So we try not to complain. You know, we don't make a ton of money, but we make more money than a lot of people. And we try to be generous and helpful to everybody we can. Yeah, and my trains are quality. I mean, I've got a couple of El Cheapos, comparatively hobby speaking. But overall, yeah, my trains are, I have fewer and a lot better quality than some of the trains I see on channels. But again, people got to buy what they want to buy. I don't want to sit there and go, my trains are better than your trains. No, that's not me. I'm not a competitive person in that regard. I'm just not. When I played sports, I was competitive. In my job, I sometimes can be competitive. But usually my competition's with me. That's why, you know, to switch gears here. Gears, trains, never mind. To switch gears here. You know, people are already talking about, because they know my Matt Clark series is coming to an end. And people are like, what are you going to do for the sequel? And I have literally blocked out any thought of a sequel. If it happens, it will happen down the road when I get an inspiration. But right now, because I'm competitive, the last thing I want to do is start writing another series. Because I would be comparing it, and you, the viewers, would be comparing it. Oh, it wasn't as funny as the last episode. And then I'd be like, you know, darn. It's better than, well, what did I do wrong in the first? I've enjoyed this, and I think I did a great job with my characters and my story and my plot. And I will tell you, I will share a dirty secret with you. Well, no, I can't share it with you. You'd have to see the end. You have to see the finale. But one dirty secret. I actually have two dirty secrets to share with you about the Matt Clark episode. But seriously, one thought. It was never the thought. It was never the primary thought, but it was an idea I kept alive all the way through making it, was that this past episode was the end. That was it. Black Mamba blown up. Bad guys right away. It's over. Because how twisted an ending would that be? You know, it'd be like a James Bond movie where 10 minutes in, James Bond gets killed. Movie over. That would be frickin' hilarious. You know, all those times the villains have James Bond in there. I'm going to create some elaborate thing and ignore it, figuring he'll escape. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Zap, boom. You know, like the Austin Powers. Dad, come on, we'll just pop a cap in his ass now. You know. I really toyed with that idea. Just end of story. But no, I always had a specific ending in mind. But I toyed with that ending. I toyed with what was episode 17. That was the end. So that was a plan. That was definitely an idea that I kept alive up until about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when I began finalizing the script and the plot, what exactly was going to happen. Because when this started 4.5 months ago, I kind of did the first episode and began writing all these other scenes. And I created a plot line. Here's where it's going to start. These things are going to happen. And I had a series of jokes. This joke will take place here. You know, there are going to be jokes about the Cougar's Hole. There are going to be jokes at the miners' camp. The bit about blowing up the miners' camp was, it took me a week, 2 weeks to get to writing that scene, but that explosion was going to be there. So I had a plot. Now, side stories got more involved. For example, the character Diesel Dan has kind of been a really background character. He was very strong early on, because as I began writing the plot, Diesel Dan became less important to me. Five Finger Bill became a much bigger character than I meant him to be originally. Madame Lot became a much bigger character than I intended her to be. She was created for the Donna Lot jokes. That was it. There was going to be a big scene at the brothel, a few more Donna Lot jokes, and then she was going to be out. But as I got writing, I kept thinking of more things she could do, and she became a stronger character. She became a bigger character. Yeah, 3.5-hour movies have got much. Although I will admit, like the Avengers movies that got the 3 hours, I was all in on that. I was all in. Yeah, make it 3 hours. I'm good. I'm a geek sitting there going, yeah, man, that's cool. There are 10-year-olds at Avengers movies. There are 10-year-olds in the audience turning around to me going, "Hey, mister, you need to grow up." You know, because I'm like, "Oh, that was so cool." But you know, I remember, because I'm a huge J.R.R. Tolkien geek. Anybody Lord of the Rings? I'm a huge J.R.R. Tolkien geek. Except I hate the movies. I think the movies are awful. The first one was eye candy, and after that, the eye candy wore off, and it was like, did you even read the damn books? And I get that way. You know, it's not like the comic books where there's 10,000 versions of the character because there's been 10,000 writers. There's one Lord of the Rings. You could get the story right. And the story is great enough, you don't need to change it and create your own version of the story. He put so many things that are not in the book that there's no excuse for that being there. You could have told the actual version. He changed characters. Like, that's not how that character acts in the book. Why did you change that character like that? You know, everybody makes Frodo a kid. In case you didn't know it, in Lord of the Rings, Frodo is 50 years old, which for a hobbit is about 35. He's not a kid. Now, Hobbit society's a little, not immature, but it's a little simpletons. But Frodo's not a kid, and we keep getting actors that are kids be Frodo. Frodo is 50, which to a hobbit is the equivalent of being about 35 to 40. He is starting middle age. He's not a kid. Now, see, I'm the opposite. The only movie I've enjoyed from M. Night Shyamalan is the Sixth Sense. Was that it? I think that's what it was called. Hello, King Fox Junction. How are you? No, my thing is, I was a comic book geek as a kid, so I loved the comic book. And the problem is, I like the first Christopher Nolan as Batman, or I like the first Batman movie in that genre. I tolerated the original Michael Keaton Batman, hated the TV series from the 60s Batman, because that was such an insult to Batman. It was just too campy. But granted, I did like seeing Catwoman and Batgirl. Those made the show worth watching when Batgirl came in season 3. I think I hit puberty early because of Batgirl in the Batman TV series. I was 4. And already I was like, ooh, mommy. Bad son, evil, wicked. But anyhow, to finish that thought, I used to do a lot of research into Tolkien and writing. It was part of my master's degree in English. Tolkien talked about writing The Lord of the Rings. And Tolkien says, and again, if you don't know Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, there's a character named Aragorn. And spoiler alert, Aragorn is the hidden, lost king of mankind whose family's been in hiding for 1,000 years. They don't bring that out in the book, but it's been 1,000 years. But he is father to son, the direct descendant of the last king of mankind. But anyhow, when you meet Aragorn, he's a shaggy dude in a bar, in a pub. And Tolkien says, when I met Aragorn, he's describing himself as a writer. When I met Aragorn, I did not know this is where I would take him as a character. In other words, when he created the character Aragorn, he was going to be a plot device to get the hobbits from point A to point B. But as he began writing the story, he developed it into Aragorn is actually the royal guy, blah, blah, blah. And as a creative writer myself, although I specialize in poetry, as a creative writer, I still understand that process. When I created some of these characters for Matt Clark, I did not know they would be who they became. And some of them did not become what I intended them to be. Like I said, Five Finger Bill became so much fun to write, he became a much bigger character in the story than he was going to be. In fact, there had been original plans that Five Finger Bill would have been killed off much earlier in the show. In fact, Five Finger Bill was going to die in the explosion. And Sal, Annie's brother, was going to be part of the gang. But by the time I wrote that scene, or not Sal, Sam, Annie's brother. But by the time I got there, Five Finger Bill had just too much I liked about him to kill him off at that point. All right, Luma, I don't know how much longer I'll be on. My family will start coming in about 15, 20 minutes. And we do our Sunday dinner, plus it's Mother's Day, so all my family will be here. But I've got nothing to do until then, so I came online, and wow, people actually came and said hi. Shocked that I am. But I got at least 20 people here. And some of you have been on the previous episode, you were posting your thoughts and hopes and dreams. And I can't give any spoilers. I want to, but I can't. About who they want to live and who they want to die, how they think it's going to play out. And it's been a lot of fun writing this. And again, it's been a consuming bit. It's been a consuming bit. Well, Joyce will appreciate that. All of you wishing her a happy... Wait, Finnerton said scrap the 800s? I'm sorry, as a foreigner, I love the 800s. I think they're awesome looking. Sorry. I like the Class 43s too. As an outsider, I know you're going to come to America and burn me down or start the third United States-Britain war after the War of 1812 and our revolution. But I know you guys love your 37s, and they come in cool liveries. And sometimes with the right livery, they look cool, but overall, they're just kind of a meh. Yeah, they're a locomotive. Meh. And but because I do have a creative writing background, because I have a master's in English and English literature, because my goal was to become a creative writer at one time. I don't just sit down and write something stupid. I really sit down and plot it out, and people can look at what I'm doing and call it stupid, but you can look at a Monty Python sketch and go, well, that's just stupid. My dad did that. That's just stupid. But if you understand creative writing and what they're doing, there's a very deep creativity to their humor. Even the young ones. The young ones is done at such an amazingly clever level. You appreciate the genius in it. Some people think it's just, Vivian and Rick beating each other up all the time, that slapstick violent humor. But there is a brilliant creativeness to it. The timing, the pacing, the way it's set up. Maybe the smacking each other around isn't funny to some, but the way they set it up and the way they present it is brilliant. Blackadder, brilliant. No, I don't know any stories about UK trains. So, yeah, I don't know about the story about the 800s. Guys, I'm shallow. I judge things by how they look. That was Joyce. I judged her by how she looked. The fact that she came out to also be a brilliant genius and an amazing friend. She had brown eyes. She had brown hair, brown eyes, and boobs. I was hooked. I'm sorry if that's offensive to all the women out there. But when I met Joyce, I didn't know who she was, and she was in a black satin dress. Okay, just leave it at that. She was 17 years old and in a black satin dress. And I got into the car with her, not knowing she was my date. Not knowing she was my date for that night. And I just remember getting in the car and looking at her going, oh, what lucky guy gets to go out with her? And like 20 minutes later, somebody said, and this is Joyce, your date for the night. And I was like, no, I'm keeping her. And the thing is, you can be attracted to somebody physically. People talk about love at first sight. No, it's lust at first sight. There is no matter how much you want to romantically create it. And I've had arguments with friends and family. No, there is no love at first sight. You don't know a person at first sight to love them. You lust them. You are interested in them. But you can't love them until you get to know them. And the nice thing is, Joyce grew to like me too. And once she agreed to not run away, I let her out of the basement. We've been together for 38 years. All the 800s can't cope with the track in England. Well, isn't that funny? Isn't that the way your English models work too? They can't handle your track, your 00 scale locos running on that HO UK track. Most of you guys all have problems. Yeah, the train keeps derailing. Well, apparently it happens in real life too. I guess your trains are realistic. Did that start the British-American War again? I don't know. Yes, Split Rock, I did make that very crude and wrong joke, but since it's not reality, my joke was not based in reality, and not based on anybody's suffering, I felt I could make it. And plus, I also felt I could make it because I'm not here for, or she's not here to whap me upside the head for saying it. Because the only way she can whap me, the only way Joyce could whap me in the head is if I'm sitting down. If I stand up, she can't reach it. To hit me in the head, she has to jump up, and she doesn't have the ups, especially since she had knee replacement surgery. She just doesn't have the ups she used to have in basketball and volleyball. She just doesn't have the ups anymore. She never did have much ups. She had too much up above that kept gravity fighting against her. She was never a great jumper. A great bouncer, but not a great jumper. Was that inappropriate too? I don't know. It's the mood I'm in. $18.12 was nothing. $18.12 was the second time you Brits messed with us, provoked a war, and then when we fought back, you said, "Yeah, we really don't care. Go away." The revolution, you were too busy with the various wars of succession in Europe, and then India was giving you some issues, and then the War of 1812, you were dealing with Napoleon now. So, you know, both times you mess with us, and then, yeah, we got to deal with something more serious than you guys. Because really, you should have won both wars against us. You really should have. No, first date. First date was deer in the headlights. It's not a good picture. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I've shown it before. This is a picture of Joyce and me about an hour and a half after we met. I think you can see deer in the headlight syndrome in both of us. We met, we went to an expensive restaurant that neither one of us really could afford. And because the couple we were with made us go to it, and they were driving. But that is the day Joyce and I met. We literally met an hour and a half before this picture was taken. It could be, but that rumor will consistently be denied, Ed. I am 19, she is 17. I had just left the United States West Point Academy and was about to start at Ohio Northern University. And she was a senior in high school. But that's our first picture. And then, oh, what the heck. Image. A2. And then this was 6 months later. This was at her high school graduation prom. So at this point, we had been dating for 5 months. So, yeah, that picture was May 27th, 2 days after her 18th birthday. That last picture was May 27th, 1984. Where did I get that wig? Haters. I had hair. I had hair when I needed it. I only lost my hair after I was married and had 3 kids. Then my hair fell out. So I blame the marriage and the 3 kids. Guys, I knew I was doomed. My dad had no hair. My grandpa had no hair. His dad had no hair. It was not to be. My mom's father died with an Elvis hairdo. 83 years old, and he had a freaking gray pompadour like Elvis. But no, I didn't inherit any of those genes. Hey, I got several compliments by some of the teachers and the people that ran the dance, and they said, most guys don't know how to wear a tuxedo. And they said, I look like I knew how to wear a tuxedo. I got complimented on that. Thank you very much. That I looked proper and relaxed in a tuxedo. I didn't look like a gorilla in a suit. Now, by the way, those of you who made fun of the suit in the previous one, there's a story there. I had left West Point and had moved to Ohio Northern University. I had not lived home in months. My mom bagged and boxed up all my clothes. And I came home kind of unannounced. Mom, Dad, I'm going to this party, blah, blah, blah. And my mom had packed all my clothes because my high school, we had to wear shirt and tie to school. We had to wear slacks, shirt and tie to high school. And my mom had boxed it all up, and I grabbed whatever we had. And by the way, I had a long beard. I had grown out a really big bushy beard and had long hair, which I had cut off 3 hours before that picture, which I had cut off myself. I had given myself my own haircut. After I left the military, after I left West Point, I went full hippie. Cut off my hair, had to cut my beard. I'm literally trimming my beard while, and my mom's trying to cut my hair in the back and trying to razor it up a bit. And they're trying to find something that matched. Well, honey, I don't know where your stuff is. It was my room. You boxed it up and turned it into a sewing room. And so I just grabbed whatever tie and said, this is close enough, and ran. I figured it'd be dark, nobody would notice. No. Those were dress slacks. Those were tan, probably all polyester dress slacks, not corduroy. But yeah, we were clearly more relaxed in that second picture. We knew each other. Not in a biblical sense. That waited. That waited till marriage, believe it or not. But Joyce is the only woman I've ever dated. I never had another girlfriend. She was my first girlfriend, and I was her first and only boyfriend. Which I'm lucky for, because she might have traded up had she met somebody else. But Joyce was a tomboy. She can hide it well, but Joyce is a tomboy. She is a jeans and a sweatshirt type of girl. She was an athlete. She played sports. But that's just it. And the funny thing is, our early life was stories of separation because we started dating over Christmas break. We started dating early in December of 1983. And then I went back to school and was gone for a month. We dated for 2 weeks. And then I went back to school and was gone for a month. I came into town for a weekend, and then we didn't see each other again for another month. And I wrote letters every day and called her, spending way too many quarters, because back then, long distance payphone and quarters. And then I finally decided to just come back to Toledo and go to school in Toledo. I didn't want to. It meant moving back in with my parents, which I did not want to do. I had a job. I was also working at the radio. I liked the university, but life would just be a little easier. Plus, I'd be closer to Joyce if I went home. So I moved back home and finished my college education at the University of Toledo. And basically, life involved three things. I carried 16 to 20 semester hours. I worked 50 to 60 hours a week at a drugstore. And whenever I had free time, I hung out at Joyce's house. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't fit in well at West Point. Let's just leave it at that. Grade-wise, I did great. I was very strong academically, extremely strong academically. I didn't do the plebe system very well, and let's just leave it at that. And West Point suggested I pursue my education elsewhere. I was an untamed youth. But when they recruited me and said I'm in, I even flunked my first physical for them, and then they turned around and passed me and said, you're in. Somebody had connections for me or something that I wasn't trying to do. But my commendations to West Point was signed by, you had to get two, and they were both Ohio senators at the time, but John Glenn was signed my commendation. He wrote the commendation letter to get me into West Point, the famous astronaut. But yeah, I didn't stay long at West Point. I did not appreciate the plebe system. There's discipline, and I can put up with discipline because I had a dad that was a disciplinarian. But there comes a point where, well, same thing with my father, where there's a point where, is this teaching me discipline, or are you just a sadist covering your ass with teaching you discipline? And it wasn't the drill sergeants, it wasn't the teachers, it wasn't the military. It was, at West Point, you're assigned a senior. You as an incoming, you're basically the bootlicking slave of a upperclassman. And I just happened to have some guy that, if you ever saw Animal Farm, the Niemeyer character, I related because that was the guy I was with at West Point. And I finally had enough of them and broke a couple of discipline codes. And my dad was so pissed at me when I left West Point. Now you gotta understand, my father fought in Korea, eye injury in Korea, which ended any hopes of a football career for him. And the one thing, when I was 16, 17, and thinking about going into the military, he did not want me going into the military. My father did not, I was to go to college and get educated and come up. But then when West Point came calling, that was it. Forget about all those other schools that you've got scholarships to. You're going to West Point. It's like, gee, Dad, could I make that decision for myself? Son, if you go to West Point, your life's made for you. You go 20 years military, you retire on a colonel, and then you still in your early 40s, and you're all set, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of talked me into it, and then I got there and wasn't happy. Nice, Nissy. Yeah, Joyce and I will be celebrating 34 in a month. We'll be on, yeah, this is year 34. We got married in 87, so this will be year 34. December will be 38 years together, and June will be 34 years married. You get less for murder here. Ba-dum-bum. Thank you, I'm here all week. Try the veal. Well, there's that too. Sometimes you cross, Army didn't want the Marines. No, my dad, after what he saw in Korea, and then the what he considered the idiocy of the Vietnam War, he did not want me going in to the military. He kind of just saw stupid wars on the horizon, which 8 years down the road came with the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. But he did not want me going in the military. It's like, you're an academic, son. You know, you're supposed to go and do this. You know, he wanted me to be like a doctor, a lawyer. When I left West Point, he was pissed at me. And then when I decided I was getting an English degree and wanted to be a writer, he was pissed at me. And then when I became a teacher, he was severely disappointed in me. My dad's quote, all those brains, all that education, and you're going to be a what? A teacher. What a waste. My dad's words. June 27th. June 27th is our anniversary. My mom was a Southern Baptist, and when I started dating Joyce, my mom wasn't happy. And then when it was obvious we were together, my mom wasn't thrilled because Joyce was Catholic. I say was. But my mom was Southern Baptist, and marrying a Catholic was a disgrace to God to her. That was the one thing my dad was happy about. When I brought Joyce home for the first time, my dad literally just stared at her like, and my dad really had two thoughts. My son's not gay, and that was his thought. That was his thought. He's not gay, and then he's got a hot girlfriend. The 24th? Okay. Hey, Rick! $30 years. See? There are some of us that do it. You know, and it's tough because we've got friends that have been through the divorce thing, and, you know, I hope nobody takes this wrong, but when people sometimes see Joyce and me and they go, you're lucky. I don't like saying lucky, although the way we met is definitely freaky, but it takes both people willing to work at it, and if one of the two isn't willing to work at it, it's not going to work. And yeah, and sometimes you don't know what you're getting into, but Joyce and I were both we're very needy people. We're joined at the hip. We're annoying. Anybody who hangs out with us, we're annoying because we do everything together. The train club I joined for a while, Joyce went to the meetings and she sat with the guys talking trains, and the guys either didn't bring their wives, or if they had wives, they sat in the other room, and they kind of kept dropping hints. And finally, like after the 5th meeting where Joyce was sitting with me, a couple of the wives said, oh, honey, come with us. Let the men talk. And Joyce was like, they're talking football. I do football. They're talking baseball. I do baseball. They're talking politics and they're talking trains. I do that. Joyce was more comfortable with the guys than with the wives. And so yeah, we're annoying. You see us a couple hours a week. We're kind of like that 24/7. And yeah, we've had our disagreements. We have a saying, don't go to bed angry. We have a saying, don't go to bed angry, which means sometimes we've been up till 5 a.m. But it's, you never know. If I knew what makes things work, I'd write the book and be a millionaire. And let's face it, there's 10,000 books out there on how to get it right, and we still get it wrong, I guess. My two best friends, one's never been married and the other one was married for 25 years, got divorced, and now he's been married for 22 years. So he's had two different marriages go over 20 years. But, you know, and the funny thing is, talking about this more serious stuff, is like, you know, and one thing I'm grateful for, I don't have anything to compare Joyce to. I don't have any other girlfriends to compare Joyce to. I don't ever sit there going, well, you know, I really don't like Lucy, but at least Lucy knew how to do this, and Joyce, you know, that I could hold that like against Joyce. But we learned everything together. We were a couple of losers that fell together and won, I guess. You know, a couple of we're both very subversive people. We were the hidden class clown. We weren't the guy that or the girl that was going to stand up in class and do something to get attention. We were just going to plant the seed and watch it grow and sit back and let it happen. Watch what I set up. I hear that, Ed. My parents were just passionate. They loved each other and then they hated each other. As kids, we would joke that my parents never divorced because they were scared the other one would find somebody else and become happy. And my parents were married 54 years, and they clearly loved each other, but they also hated each other and drove each other crazy. And my dad was 10 years older than my mom. He was 28 and she was 18 when they got married. And they didn't marry she wasn't pregnant, but the reason they kind of married wasn't the best reason either. Now, my mom had a crush on my dad. But my dad basically got married, I think, because he was getting tired of being nagged by the family all the time. When are you going to settle down? You need a wife. You're 28 years old. It's time to settle down. You can't race cars and motorcycles your whole life. You got to settle down, get a job, and it's time to raise a family. And I really think he just kind of said, well, this is the best I'm going to do, and they married. And my mom was marrying my dad because she had a crush on him because he was best friends with her older brothers. But I also think my mom married my dad because she wanted to get out of a bad family life. In some of her manic depression explosions, my mom would, you know, talk about briefly some of the issues between her and her mother, her and her sister, blah, blah, blah. Some of the, you know, things that obviously drove my mom crazy. But I really think my mom married her dad to get out of her house, to get away from her family. At least her mother and sister. All right, Sparky, take care. Yeah, we're talking negative stuff and probably shouldn't do that. Nobody wants that depressing stuff. So let me totally switch gears, do a 180 turn. Again, we are running a contest. We're probably going to bump that prize money or prize gift up. But join in. Go watch the video. Check the questions. We did get one entry. I don't know if we've gotten another. I would have to check to see if I've gotten another entry. I don't know if I expected too many entries right away. No, we still have just the one entry. So they know who they are. But the contest is just, it really is a thank you. I actually wanted to make it a $50 gift certificate. Joyce said 25, but I'm talking her up to 35. Trying. I think she's about to come down. But yeah, we just for those of you that stayed with the story and supported us and said you enjoyed it and we're looking forward to each week, this is our thank you to you. But of course, we made it a challenge. We didn't make it easy. There's 15 questions. And the person whose submission is here, we're not going to tell you how many you got right or wrong. But so hopefully more will submit answers, and it'll be a true contest. But somebody's going to get a prize because we've got one submission. Well, hello, David Cottesmore. How are you? Nice to have you. Yeah, but what's $10 more, Ed? What's $10 more? I'm not trying to buy views. I'm not trying to do that. That's why you have to be a subscriber. That's one of the reasons why YouTube does not allow you to do contests and give money, because they think you're trying to buy viewers. You know, speaking of buying viewers, and you guys all know I love Sam at Sam's Trains, and I don't understand negativity towards any channel. I don't understand negativity towards any channel, but I think he finally got tired of some people because he put up a video almost 2 weeks ago now where he kind of went off about people accusing him of buying subscribers and stuff like that. And it was interesting to see him a little on the pissed side. It was very intriguing to see Sam a little angry. But, you know, if I were trying to get viewers, I obviously would do this channel a lot different anyhow. If I was trying to get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 viewers, I would have somebody else sitting here instead of me. You know, somebody good looking like a Ali at Wardle Road or Triss at Double O'Neill. I'd actually be building things on my layout and showing off all my new trains, and then I would have all the subscribers. I'm at 800 something. It's over 850 because I did look the other day and I was at like 859 because I had a bunch of people join me thanks to Alan a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about the Matt Clark series and giggling about it, and I jumped up about 15. That was the biggest shout out jump I had. Other than Triss at Double O'Neill gave me a shout out, and I gained about 20 in a week or so from him. I don't know about authenticity either. I mean, I am me, so I'm authentic. I just, you know, David, you know how I feel about you and all the stuff you do. And I get accused by people of being a flatterer, like, well, you just say that. No, I don't just say it. I mean it. If I take the time to write something, it's sincere. I'm not a flatterer, you know, especially, and if you're an American, Americans don't understand that in UK English, in proper English, you flatter me, or your flattery can be a negative. They're like, it's like you're bullshitting me. And no, and maybe I'm a simpleton, maybe I'm easily pleased, maybe I'm Neanderthal staring at fire. Now, granted, I have a very strong arrogance about my IQ, so I don't really see myself as a Neanderthal. But when it comes to watching people with trains, since I'm new to the hobby, I'm a kid. I'm a kid playing with toys. And some people don't like that attitude. But I'm a kid playing with toys. These are my toys. I'm playing with them. And so when I watch you playing with your toys, I enjoy it. You're sharing your toys with me. I'm enjoying it. Now, if you happen to be really skilled at what you do, and many of you are, I appreciate that too. And David, you have skills. And your new thing where you're the 4K drone pictures of the trains and video of the trains. That blows me away, man. A, because it's a foreign country and it's beautiful scenery. B, it's cool trains, and C, it's such a panoramic view. Why shouldn't I tell you what an awesome job that is? It's amazing. Hello, Tony Northeastern. Speaking of extremely talented people, you watch Tony Northeastern, his layout, he's skilled. But then there's guys like, you don't know some of these guys. I'll type it in here. Now I'll just do it on this one. Here's a small channel many people don't know. I gotta fix my bad typo. There's a guy called Colwich Junction I've been a member of for 2-3 years. He's got an amazing layout, and he's got 300 and some subscribers, but this dude should have 3, 4, 5,000, 50,000. He's cool trains, nice guy. He doesn't post a lot. He's posted a couple of videos recently. He's got an amazing layout. I mean, that's what throws me off. You know, why does this guy have 200 subs and this guy have 100,000? And I'm not insulting the guy with 100,000, but this guy is just as entertaining as this guy. And some people catch on, some people don't. My goal, if I had a goal for this channel, is I didn't want to be like any other channel. I wasn't going to do the how-tos. I wasn't going to show building my video or building my layout because I don't work well in the camera. And as most of you know, because I talk about it all the time, it's hard for me to build period anymore. That's why, because I'm probably going to have to rip out this half of the layout and redo it because of the plumbers coming in and wanting this out of the way. The hardest part of rebuilding it is not taking it down, or am I going to come up with new ideas, or am I going to rebuild it as it was? The hardest part is just going to be, gee, how am I going to put in screws when my hand's like this all the time? That's going to be the fun part. Because it's even affecting my work. I write on a bulletin board, a dry erase board for my students at work. 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. And it's now getting, as I write on the board, the shakes get so bad when I'm writing. And my handwriting is suffering where my students are like, Mr. Dodge, what is that? And I go over and type. I put it up on a computer projection and type now because my writing is getting so bad. And so, and again, I don't care if you're running, you know, Philip Page is one of my favorite channels. He hasn't posted in a long, long time. I haven't even seen him online in a long, long time. So I hope something hasn't happened and maybe somebody knows a story or maybe he's just taking time off. But he runs trains on his kitchen counter, and the way he does it is so funny and so clever and so cool with dinosaurs and everything else. Tim JD is here. And Tim runs it in this nice room, and he's got a cool setup. Pete Clark, who hasn't been around in a while because he's lost his mojo and he's dealing with some things. He runs it on a little table. He's just got a couple of little loops. But they are fun every time they post a video up, and I'm on it watching it because I love what they do. Hey, Ewan, how are you? Yes, the Railjet is back out. The ICE3 is home after being gone for 2 months. I'm very ecstatic to have it. And hopefully my other 2 ICEs that are in California will be coming back in the next couple of weeks. And I really think there's a better than 50-50 chance I'm going to get an email this week to say my ICE4 is ready for shipment from my shop, because the American website says they have been sent to the stores. They've been saying this for 2 weeks, that they are out at the factory and they've been sent to the shops. I suppose you're right, Tony Northeastern, the interaction, but again, personality of the presenter comes in, but I still think most model train guys, they want to see work being done. They want to see the trains being highlighted, okay? Yes, they might want to lay out. That's why Everard Junction has 75,000 or whatever he has. Or they just want to see all the trains and the new stuff. That's why Sam's at 100,000 now. So it's what they present, the way they present it. And so a channel like mine was never going to grow. Again, whatever I'm at now, and yeah, I could look, but I'm not going to, but it's 850 something, maybe 860 now. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. The fact that I do a spontaneous live feed and I've had 20 people here. Maybe I have more, I don't know. The fact that I've got, I think it says 16 likes. I just sat down and did this for the heck of it because I was bored, and yeah, I'm feeling a little, it's Mother's Day and it's a great day, but Joyce was doing some things. I had been cleaning down here. I watched him stream, and yeah, I felt the need to just talk to some people, and I've been chewing Joyce's ear off, and I thought, what the hell, I'll do a live stream and see who shows up. Hour and a half later, I still got 20 people here. And that's, in the end, that's why I'm not doing my other shows, the Miracle Outsider and the Model Train Outsider. The live streams fill what I needed from the YouTube more than my shows did. Although, I didn't mention this. I got an email from Miracle USA. I got an email from Miracle Digital USA. And it's just a quick email, and they specifically said this email is not because we want to do any business with you. We just want to say, great job on promoting Miracle, but your channel has lots of errors in it. And if you would like to know blah, 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 please contact us. So I sent them a letter and said, please tell me what errors, because I tried to research everything I put into my channel before I put it out there, because I certainly am not a Miracle. I just know more about Miracle than most Americans, or maybe UK guys, just because there aren't many Americans that do Miracle. But yeah, their letter was both, hey, nice job, and you got everything wrong. And I'm like, what did I get wrong? And so I asked them, and it's been almost a week and they haven't written back. But they were making it clear in the letter that they were not contacting me to say, hey, we want to support you and sponsor you and everything else. And to be honest, I'm sure one of my friends in the Miracle world sent them an email and said, check this guy's channel out. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And so they watched a couple of videos and said, you're doing something wrong. And I know I have misstated a couple of things, but I usually corrected them either in the comment section or in a later video. So I'm like, okay, what did I get wrong? You know, one of the last things I did, I was talking about, they upgraded, and in one of my videos I said that you could now program your trains from the computer module of the Central Station 3, which was not true. And I corrected that in a show. But otherwise, I've been going through my videos like, what did I get wrong that I didn't already say? By the way, I was wrong about this. No, I'm not pissed. The problem is when Joyce and I saw the email, the first instinct was, oh my God, they're actually contacting. I'll get a sponsor. And then I'd be all about the money. I'd be smoking cigars here and saying, all right, people, on today's show, let me sell you some more stuff. But I had that thought for like 2 minutes when I saw, Dear Anthony Dodge. I was like, we've seen your channel. And I'm like, you're getting things wrong. Oh. Oops. Hi, Luma. Well, I stayed on for you, Luma. I was going to leave, but when you said you were going to come back. I thought I said Ewan. Oh, Tony called you. Right. See, for little secret. I am Anthony, but my parents called me Tony, and when I was in elementary school, junior high, and even high school, I was Tony to most people. And I decided I wanted to be called Anthony, but I'm Tony to Joyce too. She will now address me as Anthony in front of you guys. She'll come on and go, Anthony, because she knows I prefer Anthony, but I'm still Tony to her. If she calls me by a name, by my name, she still calls me Tony. So I'll still read something as Tony and think somebody's addressing me. even though I've tried to be Anthony for 25, 30 years now. Joyce calls me Tony. And a couple of really old friends call me Tony, but I do prefer Anthony, but they got to know me as Tony, and I can't get them to change. They think I'm being a snob when I say, I'm Anthony. In fact, those of you who've watched the Matt Clark episode, that it's Lil Damn It, that actually is based a little bit in reality, because there was a little bit where somebody called me Tony, and I turned to them and said, it's Anthony, damn it. And so that was a little bit of that. But the full joke was always Lil McGill was from the Beatles song. From the White Album, Rocky Raccoon. That joke was not based, there's a connection to reality, but it was always that her name was Lil McGill, but everybody was going to call her Nancy. And it's from the Beatles song. Is it side 1? Album 1, side 1? Or no, it's later in the album. Side 2. Because it's right before, right after Ringo's god-awful song, Don't Let Me... I love Ringo, and he's a world great drummer, despite people outside the music industry who like to mock him. He's a great drummer, and all the other great drummers will tell you Ringo was a great drummer. But when it came to writing songs, Octopus's Garden was his best, and that required the help of George. Don't Pass Me By on the way, but right before is Rocky Raccoon. Her name was McGill, and she called herself Lil, but everyone knew her as Nancy. Yeah, Luma, in Germany, I'm either Tony or Anthony. In Germany, I'm Tony or Anthony. And to all you UK guys, I'm Anthony. You know, you all say that. Anthony Dodge, the model train outsider. Because that's how you pronounce it. I would never go, oh, for God's sakes. You know, I don't want to use anybody's real name. I don't ever want to go on and say, oh, for God's sakes, it's Anthony, not Anthony. You know, it's how you pronounce it, so you pronounce it that way. But I was named Anthony by my father, and I was named after a mafia hitman. True story. My father didn't know he was a mafia hitman when he named him after me. It was just one day we were watching the news, and it said, former Holland, Ohio resident Anthony LaPaglia was arrested as one of the top mafia hitmen for the Detroit Mafia. My dad says, oh, that's the Anthony I named you after. How about that? He was a killer. So I was named after a mafia hitman. All right, Lee. Yeah, it's good night. All you guys in England, it's 10:30. Don't you have to go to bed and get up in the morning? I do, but that's not for a few hours. I get up in 11 and a half hours, but I got to do that. But I actually have many identities, because in the publishing world, whenever I did anything with my book, I'm A.S. Dodge, A.S. Dodge, because all proper writers do initials. You know, J.R.R. Tolkien, G.R.R., you know. I do. I go by the initials. I'm the writer A.S. Dodge. In fact, since I was posting up pictures, let's add another picture. I think I've got them on here. Image. We'll call it book 1. Browse. And no more pictures of me and Joyce, because I do that on our anniversary. Do it again. Where are we at? Documents. What stuff? So this was the cover. This is the cover to my first book that got published. This is the cover to the first book. And that cover lost me $50,000. I was entered in a contest for first-time writers, and I got downgraded on my cover because I did the cover myself instead of hiring a pro because I couldn't afford a pro. And I came in second place. First place got $50,000. I got $2,500 for second place. But that is the cover to my first book. Published by a little Canadian company called Trafford. Bam. I keep looking for delete, but it's remove on this system. Add. Image. And then this was the prototype cover to my second book, which my daughter made for me, which is clearly much better graphics. Unfortunately, I got rejected by the publishers. My first book didn't sell, so they wouldn't publish my second book. But that's the cover to my second book. So it's a better cover, but it never got published. But my daughter designed that, and I think it's a really cool cover. She really got this. She really kind of got where my writing was heading and going, and and she did this. She was either late in high school, early in college when she did this for me. No, probably, well, sarcastically, yes, Ed. Sarcastically, yes. But I'm trying to remember whose painting that was. Was it Bruegel's? God. It was one of the... oh, man. I can't remember. Was it Bruegel's Adam and Eve? It was one of the Dutch-Belgian masters. Later generation masters. But it was either Bruegel's... I can't remember who the original painting was, but my daughter... messed with it. My daughter tweaked a few things and of course put the book in Adam's hand. And yeah. So that book, and then I started a third book, and then I just lost the mojo to write. It wasn't going anywhere. You know, and the weird thing is, I sold about 600 copies of my first book and gave away another 100. And what's weird is I used to get reports from my publisher, and they could trace the sales of books. Like, last I checked, 4 copies of my book sold in South Africa. 3 copies sold in Australia. 1 in New Zealand. It's just weird. There are copies of my book that sold in parts of the world, and then I'd get a 40-cent royalty check. Because, yeah, basically for each book sold, I got about 40 cents. That was the publishing deal. When you're a nobody trying to get published, especially in the genre of poetry. Now, Dennis Rodman can write a book of the crappiest poetry you ever heard of, and he gets a $1 million signing bonus. But I wasn't a former NBA athlete turned social butterfly moron, but world famous. Well, again, this was 20-some years ago that these... my first book was published in 2003. My first book was published in 2003. And I had a... I mean, I think technically you can still find it in Amazon's book database. Funny, true story. On eBay, about 10 years ago, somebody was selling 2 signed copies of the book for $90 each. I kid you not, somebody had 2 copies of my book and was selling them for $90 each. They were an online bookstore selling through eBay. First of all, I want to know where he got signed copies. Now, yes, I did sign a few copies. I did sign, but I thought I knew where most of them were. So I'd have to talk to friends and family, like, I take it I signed this for you and then you gave it away to a book. But yeah, somebody, I'm like, dude, what are you thinking? I'm selling it for $10 myself. I've got copies for $10. If you want a copy, I got them for $10. Hell, I give them away now. Every now and then, some of my colleagues at work will buy a copy, or my students will buy a copy, and then their parents want a copy. I think it was good stuff, but it just did catch on. And like I was talking about this a couple of shows ago, I went on book shows, book tours. And yeah, I was sitting around waiting for Oprah to throw me in on her book club or a book show or something like that. Never happened. But I was a keynote speaker at the 2005, 2006 Ohio Midwest Book Show, which happened to be near Columbus, Ohio. But the Midwest Publishers Book Show, and they had 12 poets, 12 new poets going someplace. And I was the keynote. I was the featured. That was sort of the high point. And I gave good shows. I really did give good shows and good readings. And but I'd sell 3-4 copies of the book all weekend. I might sell 10, and it wasn't worth the gas to keep driving to all these book shows. And maybe I should have done it, but you know, I got job, I've got kids, I'm doing other things, I'm coaching, I didn't have time to keep driving to all the book shows and to all the clubs and the poet cafes and all that crap and push it. But yeah, it's listed online for $18.99. That was what the publishing company put on it, and I got 40 cents out of that. But they gave me the discount rate, and I bought like 100 books I got them for $5 each. I got the publisher's discount. I bought 100 books for $5 each, and I was selling them for 10. So I make more money selling them myself than I do selling them from the publishing company. Hi, Chris. But yeah, I mean, there came a point when I wrote the second book, and sent to the publishers, and they're like, no, send it to other publishers. Sorry, no. And I would send them the clippings. I mean, I've got well, all right, I'm going to be stupidly arrogant here. Hang with me. I have to end this stream soon, but what the hell. Unfortunately, I have to cover out a couple of things, but here we go. Where are we at? Where are we at? Do it again. Bow, bow, bow. Okay, I gotta make sure. All right, Writer's Digest was a big publishing company magazine. I think they're still around. And I can't show more of this because it's got personal information and some other stuff. But this was after I entered the small publishing contest they ran. In other words, writers from small houses that don't get whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is the letter I got after finishing second in their new writers contest. So this is from the judges. This was from the judges. And the question is asking the judges what, well, you can read that. Whoops. What impressed you the most about this book? What's one thing that could be changed to improve this book's commercial success? All right. This is from a magazine. This poet is a truly creative writer. His poetry bursts with imagery, alliteration, metaphor, contrast, comparison, as well as all other elements of good poetry. By interpreting his world, he also interprets the reader's world. This is poetry as it should be. It does not read like prose. It fits well into its genre. A.S. Dodge has learned well from his mentors and models, John Donne, Lewis Carroll, J.R.R. Tolkien, Carl Sandburg, et al. His use of words to paint pictures for his audience is wonderful. It might be a good idea to have an editor check for typos and grammatical errors. This is poetry at its best. Keep up the good work, Mr. Dodge. That was the fifth greatest moment of my life. Marriage to Joyce, well, meeting and marrying Joyce. 3 kids, grandkid. 6th best moment of my life was when I got that letter with a check. And for somebody that didn't know me to write, this is poetry as it should be, this is poetry at its best, my ego exploded. Now, you were graded on a 60-point scale. My writing got 20. I lost 4 points because there were typos and grammatical errors. It really wasn't grammatical errors, but when you type something and read it 80 times, your eyes glass over. And seriously, I would hand it to Joyce and say, Joyce, proofread this for me. Circle. And she didn't want to read it all because some of the poems were painful to her because she knew the story behind the poems that I had written. And she just found some of it a little too dark and too... And friends would read it and they would miss things. So I lost points on that. And then the cover was the biggest. I got like a 14 out of 20. And I lost the judging by 1 point. The winner had 57 out of 60 points, and I had 56. But I beat him on the quality of writing. He beat me on presentation, which was the cover and the typeset. So that was sort of the high point of my writing career, and it never went anywhere after that. And then just sending text out and getting rejected. And I figured I might go back to it when I retire and got nothing else to do except play with trains and watch TV. But that was that shining moment. But anyhow, guys, it is 5:40. I told Joyce I'd only be on till about 4:30. Oops. The family's coming in if they're not already here, and I need to have dinner and then get ready for work tomorrow. So all of you that actually came and stayed this long, thank you. All of you who hung out for a bit. I apologize if a little bit earlier we started talking about dark themes again. I try to use this to cheer up, but apparently just, one thing, the thought that I might have to tear out part of my table is bothering me, and maybe that leads me into talking about more negative things. And so anyhow, thanks everybody for stopping by and hanging out when I had didn't even plan this or do it, please go to the channel, join the contest. Just give it a shot. Even if you have to send in a bunch of joke answers to be funny, we'll share those joke answers and point out that you're funny too. And otherwise, I'm going to say to you all my little end of show catchphrase. Everybody's got to have an end of show catchphrase now. So I'll say, Auf Wiedersehen.